Hey everybody, it's 8:10 a.m. April 16th. Crazy sell-off in the markets yesterday. The bond market and let's see, the dollar and the VIX all helped out there. I mentioned this pre-market. I said this bond market is eventually going to rear its head. It finally did. Putting weight on the markets yesterday. Of course, the key levels I talked about played a part in that as well. So, pretty crazy day. Um, really big drop in both Qs and SPY, but they came to very key levels. Okay, Q broke a key level, but then went to a key level as well, which was an old gap. That was a big gap, and almost filled it. So, is this the move? Because usually these big moves we have not gotten follow through in the past. So we'll have to see. Okay. So without further ado, welcome to my channel. My name's Stephen Gonzalez. I use volume profile, market profile to find structure in the market, along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, anchor VWAPs, and the most traded price of the year, the rolling month, the rolling week, and the preceding day. All to help me find structure in the markets. Okay, it just helped me see things better, see who's in control, and then help me put risk on. Okay, and of course, once the market opens, I do another kind of analysis of what is going on. So then, that helps me put a trade on. Okay, so if you could subscribe, set alert to my channel. Right, you can also, if you like what you see, give me a thumbs up. That would be much appreciated. And you can always follow me on X at Gonzo719. Okay, now let's get right into the futures watch list. Let's see here. Leader is the Dow. Dow's up 0.59. Why is that, right? United Healthcare reported earnings, which were not even the best because they took a loss because of the cyber attack. Doesn't matter. United Healthcare is up 7.38%. That was looking very appealing as a buy, but when earnings were coming, I didn't want to trust that. So that is why. That's the largest holding in the Dow, so that's why Dow's up so much. Okay. Along with Morgan Stanley, I believe in the Dow. I could be wrong about that. I could check that later. Gold up 0.34. Okay, almost at 2,400. ES up 0.21. Nasdaq's up 0.14. 10-year yields at 4.6 to a yield. Excuse me. That is not updated because it doesn't update this. This doesn't update 820. But we'll come back to that. The dollar at 106.17. It is flat basically. 30-year bonds being sold. 30-year bonds being sold, so that the yields should go up a little bit. Bitcoin, it's taking a bit of a dip here, down 0.40. Okay, down 0.40. Russell down 0.48. Russell's been decimated with the high interest rates. Crude pulling back. Crude's in balance right now. All right, it's balancing. All right, down 0.54. Ether's down 0.63. Silver's down 1.19. And the VIX is down 2.7%. It's at 18. Doesn't matter. The VIX is elevated. Volatility is here. Okay, now there is fear in the markets. 18.71 VIX. I said we had to hold above 15. We're at 18. And just keep in mind, a 16 VIX means a 1% expected move in the S&P 500. We are at 18, almost 19. So volatility is here. Fear is here. Okay. Moving over to the Mag 7 Plus. AMD got an upgrade. Okay, AMD's been decimated. Yesterday they closed at 160.32. They're already at 162. They're up by 1.1%. Nvidia's up 0.61. Boeing's up 0.35. Microsoft's up 0.22. That's about it there. Now, Google's down 0.15. Bob is down 0.54. I mean, sorry, 0.5. Coin base is down 0.64. Tesla's is getting decimated with these job cuts, and demand for electric vehicles is waning. So that's down 2.31, down to 157. You would have thought one day that at least Tesla would just get a jolt up, but it's just weak. It's really weak. All right, so let's top sectors. Here we go. We got United Healthcare reported earnings. So that was the dip. It did come to a very, very key level. Okay. So it's up 7.71%. Morgan Stanley also reported they are up 3.12%. Goldman Sachs up 0.55. Okay. Eli Lilly up 0.311. The laggard, we got Chevron, big orders hitting the tape in my ear. Johnson & Johnson reported as well. They were down more over a percent before because it was a slight miss. It was a slight miss. And then it's only down 0.3 now. Exxon is down 0.32 with crude just kind of waning. Okay. Kind of figure out what's going on in the Middle East. Okay. So moving on to swings. Let's look at these leaders. Humana is getting some love. Okay. I don't think they reported earnings. I could be wrong because they can decimate it, Humana. Yeah, they don't report yet, but I guess in sympathy with United Healthcare. CVS in sympathy with United Healthcare, they're up 3.78%. Donald Trump, 2.25%. Supermicro Computers took a pullback. Now that's getting some love, up 1.95. Like I said, no big sell-off has had really big follow-through. So I don't know. This market's kind of nuts. Does this continue the sell-off? I don't know. IBM, Reddit, that's the leaders there. Not much. Who's lagging? SoundHound has just been decimated. Down 4.53. Mara down 2.11. They're at 15. I'm sorry, they're at $14 right now. Let's see. RXRX. I think that's Alcoa. Carvana. GDXJ. These miners are just wild. AI down 1%. Palantir down 1%. And Taiwan Semiconductor down 1%. So nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. Okay. Moving on back to top sector stocks, and we go to sectors. Okay. Sectors. Healthcare is getting a lot of love this morning. Up 0.71. A lot in part to United Healthcare. Okay. Financials getting some love. Morgan Stanley. Okay. Semis up 0.11. That's not big. Okay. But it's still up. Technology up 0.09. Not big. And the biggest laggard of the day is energy. Okay. That's what's going on there. All right. So now we can get into economic calendar. I had a little surprise on the calendar because I don't know how this is not important on this calendar. But it was weird. It didn't show. Okay. So today we have building permits and housing starts at 8:30. Really doesn't really matter much to the market. Fed Jefferson speaks at 9 a.m. We also have, this is the big one, Fed Williams speech at 12:30 and 1:15 p.m. Fed Chair Powell speaking. I don't know why I had to put this impact to a star in order to see that. So Fed Chair Powell speaking at 1:15. Usually I'm already done for the day. Shouldn't affect me, but I don't know if the market will balance or something and not move much until he speaks. I'm not sure, but just be cognizant of that. All right. I don't know if I would want to hold a trade through this speech. So, have to see. That's what's going on there. Okay, let's see if we have any updates in the upgrade downgrade world. That didn't upgrade too. I mean, that didn't really update too good. Let's close that. Let's see here. Okay, let's look at this. We'll go with upgrades. All right, let's see. Any upgrades to note? Goldman Sachs upgraded. Okay. Goldman Sachs upgraded. So financials. Here's the AMD upgraded. Price target change 180 to 225 from a hold to a buy. That's why AMD is getting love from HSBC. Okay. Supermicro Computer was target raised. Okay, from 600 to 1500. Charles Schwab, they got 3 target raises. Okay. Netflix target raised. Got earnings this week from 600 to 700. Okay, from 595 to 685. Goldman Sachs target raised. Okay, to 478. See, these financials are getting target raise and upgrades. Fidelity National Information Services, they got a target raise. Okay, see, there's a theme here. Kava got raised. Let's see. AIG, target raised. Let's see if there's any notable target lowers. Spirit Airlines, McDonald's. McDonald's has pulled back. Um, okay, reiterate. I don't care about reiterate it. Initiate it. Let's see if there's anything big here. Reddit initiated at a buy. Reddit initiated at a neutral. Qualcomm initiated at inline. Just trying to see ones that stand out. Okay, Nvidia initiated at, oh boy, at 1160. Outperform. Boy, okay. Another semi Marvel outperform. So it's gotten semis getting love this morning. Intel initiated in line. There's a lot of initiates today. Avga, Broadcom, another semi outperform. So semis are getting ASML that report earnings this week. Outperform. ARM outperform. So there's a theme this morning. Semis. Okay. AMD initiated outperform. Target of 200. AMAT Applied Materials. Okay. Semis are getting love today. A lot of love. All right. Major banks talked about that. I don't even know how to go out. China did economy grow strongly in quarter 1. That's good for crude. Okay. What else do we have here? Uh, let's see. Bank of America. Bank of America profits fall on lower customer interest payments. United Healthcare takes 872 million hit to profit, but doesn't matter. The market's up. J&J slight miss, but J&J is only down 0.35. Okay, we got Fed Powell and Fed Jevis talked about that. Tesla global job cuts include leading markets U.S. China. Okay, that's probably all I want to talk about there. One thing I wanted to show you guys is this little indicator here. I just look at it here. Now, if you look at this, okay, I want to show you guys something. There's two things I like to look at, and I forget who introduced me to this, but it's just something to look at. I'm not going to say I trade off it, but this is the percentage of stocks above the 20-day moving average. So you have the S&P 500 up here, SPX, and then you have the S&P 500 stocks. All right, I want to show you something. Anytime this comes up to 90% above the 20-day moving average, you tend to get a dip in the market. So if you look when it comes up here to 90%, you notice you get a little dip. Boop. And I'm talking about little dips, okay? Come up here, look, you get a dip, right? And it's just the opposite when you come down to the bottom, like 9% of stocks above the 20-day. You get a lift. So we're here, only 9% of stocks in the S&P 500 are above the 20-day moving average. Okay? Now, you can also do that with the 50-day moving average. So 35% of stocks are still above the 50-day moving average. But when you come down to here, right, usually you get a little boost in the market. Also, if you come up to the top, you get little dips. So just something to look at. So the 20-day right here, 9%, right? We just took a nice dip into key level territory. Okay, key level territory. All right. Earnings. Now, today we have Bank of America, United Health, Johnson & Johnson, Morgan Stanley, Bank of New York Mellon, PNC, all reported today. At the close, we have United Airlines, Interactive Brokers, Omnicrom Group. That's at the close. Okay. That should wrap up that. I think we can go right into the daily charts. Really, what I talked about yesterday came to fruition. What really, full transparency here, really disappointed myself yesterday because I gave you guys the premium setup yesterday. Okay, and I failed to take my setup. I was there on the trigger and just didn't take it, and I had two shots at it. So some days in trading, your head's just not screwed on right, even though I had the game plan. Okay. However, if you look at this, I said this little X here with this channel, I said, and this level on 504, 505 was a key level. Now look where it came down to. It came down to this trend line from the past. Okay, let's look at this in the long-term trend. This is a long-term trend line. It came right down to it, right? These are when all these things come together. This is a channel that I said that's been honoring. Look at that support, 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 support. Look at that hit right there. Okay. What's crazy is we almost went up to the other side of the channel, went all the way back down. So we are at a key level right here. Okay, what is this? This is the last month's lows as well. So you look to the left, look at all the support here. Okay, so if you crack that, you're probably going to go down to 481. I'm sorry, 491, 490. And you also have the 100-day moving average here. So just be cognizant of that. Now, where are we at now? 504. 90, 504.90. We're right here. We're right exactly at last month's lows. Now, is this the bounce? I don't know. But today, we're at the lower end. Now, if you look at it, and you got to look at it with not a bias, we're holding the lows of yesterday. Okay, but you're at a very, very key level where some people might want to engage. Now we do some statistic here. Let's see. From the highs at 524.61. Okay. Why is that not showing me the data? Why am I not seeing that data? Data. Let me see data. I'm forgetting where that data series thing is. Data box. Let's do that. Data box. Floating. Apply. There we go. So let's go from these highs all the way to this low. That is, it's not giving me that percentage. And I might not be just seeing it, because usually it gives a percentage. I'm going to get rid of that data. Show studies. Data box, there it is. Fixed. Maybe that will give it to me. Just weird that it's not. I'm not going to harp on this too long. I just want to see. Yeah, it's not showing me that. Usually this box up here comes down lower. Anyway, doesn't matter. We were up here, okay? Came down here. I don't know what percentage that would be. All right, so I'm just saying people might be wanting to engage in the market, okay, to buy this dip. I don't know, okay? So let's move over to the Qs. Okay, the Qs. All right, I talked about this level yesterday. Okay, so if we zoom out a little bit. Now, we were in this kind of wedge, right? So you broke right here. You broke that. Last week's lows. The week before's lows. The week before's lows. And the week before's lows. Okay. Now, you did have a gap. Okay. Right here. From here all the way to here. And you came and filled that gap partially. Okay, and right here to here is the gap. So that's why you came down to a key level. So you broke 432, came down here, right? So we have to see what the Qs is going to do. If you hold underneath this big level, you could be looking at possibly going down to like 425. The 100-day moving average is here. You might rise up here, possibly move there. Okay, so we're at now 431, let's call it. We are at the lows. Okay, we're at the lows. This is bearish, holding below this level and trying to fill. Gonna see if he could fill that gap. That gap would fill at around 425.57. It's called 425, 426. That would be the gap fill if you moved today. Okay, right now the expected move for today is $6.34. $6.34. From the close of yesterday, it would be exactly the move to fill the gap. So that's very interesting. So that expected move from today would bring you right down to the gap fill. Don't know if that's in the cards. Don't know. You might come up to this level and then fall. I don't know. Okay? So that wraps up that. Let's move over to the triple-headed monster. That is the bond market. That is the VIX, and that is the dollar. So let's look at the 10-year yield, which now has the new symbol that I have to keep remembering. And these yields, look at this. The rising yields finally caught up to the market. Okay? Finally caught up. And we're all the way up here. Okay? The highs right now are almost at 5% yield. Are we going to go there again? That would put a lot of, if this keeps rising, that's going to put a lot of weight on the market, okay? Keep that in mind, okay? The dollar. I talked about this yesterday. I said, is this finally going to matter? And it seems like it's starting to matter. Here's the dollar, right? Here's highs, recent highs. At 107.38, right? We're all the way up. Well, the dollar's getting smacked down a little bit right here. However, it's right here. And the 10-year yield, I didn't even mention it, it's up 0.45% already today. Okay, the dollar is kind of flat, right? It did move up all the way to here, but let's see what it does at 106.74. But usually this doesn't bode well for equities and commodities, okay? Now the VIX. The triple-headed monster is rearing its head, okay? Look at this complacency all down here. 12 VIX, 13 VIX. That was all a lot of this move, okay? Now look, rocket, and we're here. Holding way above 15 that I said we'd have to hold, way above 16. We keep it up in here, we're going to have very volatile days. Okay, this is 30 days out of fear. We have some fear in the market. There is some fear now, 18.8 VIX. You have some fear in the market. This is going to cause some volatility. Okay, I talked about it before. A 16 VIX is a 1% expected move in the markets. Okay, now let's go over to structure, and we can go over this. Okay, let's go right over to the ES and look at what happened. Okay, I'm going to try to go over this. I'm running out of time here because I went over some extra things. But let's look at structure. Okay, I'm going to try to give you the deal here. Okay, so rolling week, we have excess at the top. Value areas clearly here highlighted, right? 70% of the trade. Then you got single prints, that thin volume. You have single prints here. And now we're building out new value. Okay, down to the bottom. Okay, now if you want to learn volume profile, okay, this is how the market works with volume profile. Okay, so values here. I just drew it, right? Value, current values here. The job of the market now, because the most traded price of the week is here, is to build and move the most traded price of the week lower, down here. If the market cannot, if value does not follow price, price goes back to value. We're going to go back right here. It's like a slingshot. It's like a boom. You go right back. You need to balance out here. Okay, you need to stay here. If you can't stay here long, we're going to move back up. Now, that's not a prediction. That's just how it works, okay? That's just how it works. And you can see what we did yesterday. We came up, opened. This is the most traded price of the year. We came up, went through it, right? Went through it, and then took these sessions out with big single prints, and you ran. Okay, so we right now are at the lows of yesterday. Okay, so here's price 51.14. Okay, now just to give you another little tip, overnight low is here. That is usually not secure. An overnight low is not usually the low. You usually take that out. Keep in mind, you usually take this. This is usually not the low. Okay, so we have an old gap in the SPY as well, or ES. So this is my blue line right here, and that gap is below. I don't see how big it is right now, but it's below us. Okay, you did fill some of it yesterday. Okay, so now you have that big of a move. We saw that last week when you had a big move down, and I said sometimes you just balance, right? So this is a monster move, and we're holding the lows. Okay, the most traded price and the close are at the lows. That's very bearish. Okay, now we have to be cognizant of the midpoint of yesterday. 51.53 is the 50% retracement of yesterday's move, which happens to be really the break of Friday's lows, which happens to be week to date VWAPs up here, which happens to be the value area low of this composite. So it's a pretty important level. That's a line in the sand. Okay, that's the line in the sand. Okay, so we do have single prints, which is emotional selling right here, leading up to that level. Thin volume. If the market gets some strength today, it will blow through these single prints, and then you'll have to make a decision here at the breakout point. Okay, so very, very important. Now, a tip on single prints. Okay, if the market tries to clean them and gets rejected somewhere in the single prints, that is very bearish, because these should not act as resistance. Okay, and these are little signals. So the two tips, we got 50% retracement, 51.53 from a big move. We have single prints above us. Okay, if single prints don't get cleaned out and you start getting rejected, that is bearish. Okay, we probably test the lows. Okay, like I said, there's a high chance we could balance off and digest the move. We could just do one of these. Okay, however, this market hasn't really followed through lower a lot. Okay, you can see right here in this big move down, look what we did. See, we never really broke lower. So that doesn't mean the past doesn't dictate what happens now. I'm just saying that's what's going on. Okay, now as far as this session, it's very balanced. It opened there. This amount of shorts, this amount of longs and shorts are equal. Most trader prices right in the middle. It's really not a lot of edge to the overnight session. Okay, there's just not. Prices up here. Okay, so you do have longs from the bottom, but it's very balanced. Okay, but that is something. You do have longs that bought this bottom. Okay, you do have demand here, and demand from the past here. Okay, so who has strength right now? It's the sellers. They have the strength. They have all the strength. All right, so let's get into this now. Let's go with what I was saying before. Okay, go with strength, sellers. So here's our key level. The breakout point, 50% retracement, week to date VWAP, single prints, end of single prints. Okay, it's a lot of stuff right there. So what I want to see is what if we do price moves up into here. Now, two things. Like I said, if we go into single prints and it starts to get resistance and starts to get some lower highs, yeah, that's a good chance that we're going to come back through here. And you might get some support in this demand zone, but you could revisit the lows, overnight lows. Okay, that's one. Two is, okay, what if we do make it up here? Well, I have to see what it does. Do we just go like this and come back down? That also can come down. Okay, that also can come down. That is that line in the sand, 51.53. Okay, longs. Okay, what do I want to see? Now, number one would be, okay, what I would like to see, you got demand here. Okay, what I would like to see, maybe we push up, get some quick selling, come back down and test this demand. This demand will tell me and how the market's doing, how much strength we have. Now, if healthcare stays strong, financials and stay strong, semis, I mean, that could lift the market. So I just have to see what this does in here. Because if it does hold, well, these singles are susceptible to get cleaned, and that definitely would be an area of a target right here, that key level. If we jump up to that key level and hold and hold and hold, man, are we going to make it back to the most traded price of the year? That would be monumental. Okay, that would be a huge move, and it is possible with the VIX at this level. Okay, the other part would be if we did come up, came down, broke this demand, which would be bearish, took out this low, but then you have demand here. You could possibly have a little bear trap here, and you recover. And now this, I don't say if that happens, you get the big outsize move. You might just get this and balance off. Okay, that's what I'm seeing with the ES. All right, let's move over to the NASDAQ. Running out of time here. I am so sorry. I just realized I was on mute. I was on mute. Hopefully you heard my ES plan. It's pretty much the same for the NASDAQ. I apologize for that. Uh, that is a really bad sign on my part that I talked to my daughter, I put it on mute, and I forgot. So the last probably 5 minutes have been me just you didn't even hear anything. So I apologize for that. At least you saw my drawings. At least I know you didn't hear me. But um, I'm sorry about that. And I might do a follow up later on with what I see. Okay? Sorry about that again. And I'll see everyone tomorrow. If not, you'll hear from me